Welcome to Bears Banter. Welcome to week number 15. Today on the broadcast, we have myself, Bernard Muhammad, Guy Moore, our intern, Donte Williams, Keith Flournoy, Tammy Harris, and Jaye Beasley. How y'all doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Good.
We good. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, that's good to hear. Hey, I got a chance to rewatch the first Bears and Vikings game, and that was a game we could have won. Our offense was just so horrific. I mean,
yes, yeah.
Even I saw in that game where Khalil Mack got an interception, and they was not able to do anything with it with the short field. You know that was. But let's hope that we kind of turned the corner the last 2 weeks offensively. So hey,
we had happy feet, right?
Yeah, happy feet.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we had happy feet there. Yeah, happy feet was dancing around. He was happy feet in that game.
Oh my God!
He tried to throw a couple of picks. I think he threw 2 in that game.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he could have had 4. A couple of them were dropped.
It wasn't for lack of trying, I'll tell you that.
He was trying to give it to him.
He
was trying to do Kirk Cousins' job. Kirk Cousins usually is the one turning the ball over in the Bears versus Vikings game.
Serving it up.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, so since we're talking about Sunday's game, this past Sunday where the Bears won 36-7. So we wanted, we wanted to do something a little different today. Tammy loves defense and she loves football. So we wanted to do start off with Tammy's top 5.
There we go.
There we go. Hey, Tammy.
Top 5.
Yep.
Tell me when you're ready.
Hold on, let's go here. I'm gonna make sure she's on the screen in case you want to narrate some of the plays. Hold on.
I'm ready.
Oh, there she go, right there. Okay. Yeah. You ready, Tammy?
I'm ready.
It's on you.
All right. Let's
So
go.
the first play was the touchdown to Mooney. And I was happy to see this after a couple of weeks of him doing like long passes and not fully going, because sometimes when he run, even though he's gone, he looks so slow. When he running, it's like, I think I can.
A little train that could.
So this one, it was good to see. It was good to see him utilize Jimmy Graham, his tight end, because if I remember before he got set down, he wasn't really utilizing Jimmy Graham. So that was good to see.
From the 19, Watson first and 10 for the Texans.
This one was a sack. So this was good to see the defense fired up. And was happy to see them in the game. And then in the very next they came back and they sacked him again in the safety, and the defense was aggressive the way that I like. So last week they were playing like the Bears that I love, and it was good to see.
Yeah, it sure was. Yeah. Tammy's top 5. Hey, that Allen Robinson catch, I didn't realize how good that catch was.
It was so quick.
Yeah, it went pretty quick.
Mitch was like really precise. He was getting the ball in there where he needed. He was pretty accurate. That was good to see. No turnovers, right?
No turnovers.
No turnovers.
0. That's a good day when you have no turnovers. Hey, we got a couple of comments. Let me share them in the broadcast. Yeah, so anyway, hold on, let me see if we can show this right here. Peace. Yeah, get some comments. Okay.
Peace, family.
All right.
Yeah. Thank y'all for checking in.
There's your bro.
Right. Thank everybody who's watching us on Facebook and watching us live on YouTube. So let's move along into the broadcast. We just finished with Tammy's top 5, and let's go into what the Bears need to do. Hold on. You know what? Mike came on back. Let me add Mike in here. Mike, ready? What's up, Mike?
What's up? Hey,
Man, Hatter.
I came back for the caramel cake, man. Woo! Caramel.
No.
Yeah.
It's good.
Look. Huh?
Not too
It's
much.
good.
I saw
It
the
look
picture.
good.
I almost started driving. I'm just like, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Hey, anyway, I want to say happy belated birthday to Tammy. Her birthday was this week. And also, right? Your birthday was your birthday?
No,
It was my birthday.
That was Mike's
Oh,
birthday.
she got paid,
Mike's
Kate.
birthday.
It was.
It's your birthday.
Hey, de cumpleaños as the essay said de diciembre. De cumpleaños as the essay says de diciembre. See, you didn't know I knew that because back in high school you had to learn both languages. They used to tell you no in English, so you had to flip it to the Spanish part. Yeah.
Was it? Habla los libros, por favor, página 4.
Oh, la chica es muy
Open your
guapa.
book to page 4. That's all I know. That's all I know. But I can say it in French too.
Yeah. Oh no, don't do that one.
Hey, well, happy belated birthday, Mike. And
Thank you.
I got confused because I saw Tammy
Happy
send a
birthday,
picture
bro.
of a caramel cake. So I thought
Man.
Tammy's birthday was this week too.
No, it's in October. I'm a Scorpio.
Oh,
That's
you're a Scorpio. Okay.
Oh, never mind. I don't mess
Okay.
with that.
What do the Bears? Here's the first question. What do the Bears need to do to win against? Oh, I got the wrong team here.
Vikings.
I got the Vikings still. Hold on. Let me go in there and change that. Okay. That should be the Vikings, not the Texans.
I wish we could play the Texans every week.
Right.
We played them again?
I think
Right.
everybody but the Jets is saying that
Right.
same thing.
Right.
Right. So what do the Bears need to do to win against the Vikings? Both of them actually have the same record. The Bears are 6-7, and the Vikings are 6-7. Who'd like to start this off tonight?
I can start.
Okay, Dante, you got it.
The defense last week needs to play the same way this week. I think the Vikings are 7th in offense in the league, and I think Dalvin Cook, one of the most underrated running backs in the league. He rushed for over 1,000 yards. Kirk Cousins threw for over 3,000 this season so far, and their rookie Justin Jefferson, who's a sleeper who just beat Randy Moss, I think receiving yards record. He's playing pretty good right now. So I think the Bears defense needs to be alert this week, and their offense needs to, be the same way as well too.
Okay.
So yeah, defense.
Defense, they play some good defense. Okay. Who's up next?
I say the defense needs to stop the run, and we need to continue with our run game. So the offense needs to stay productive. Hopefully they can continue to gel, and the defense just needs to stay aggressive like they were in the game against the Texans, because the previous Vikings game, like you said, was totally winnable. So it's not like they kicked our butt. It was totally winnable, and I think if we get, it's a division game, we need to win it.
Okay. Hey, who's next?
I'll go.
Okay, you got it, guy.
Last game, Mr. Jefferson got like $135 on 8 receptions. Of course, Mr. Cook got 96 yards. Kirk Cousins had 292 with 2 TDs and an interception. But an interesting caveat is the fact that Mr. Montgomery, if you remember, Mr. Montgomery was injured in that game. And Cordell Patterson had a very paltry 30 yards. So I think that if our backs, our defensive backs, can kind of tighten up on Jefferson and do what they need to do, give Montgomery the ball, play like they played yesterday, and then give all the Vikings some Texans jerseys.
Now, that'd be a nice move.
Right.
Okay, I'll go, Bernard.
Okay, Frank.
Okay, what the Bears need to do, just like Tammy said before, stop the run. That's number one. The Vikings are a run-based offense. You definitely want to put some boots to Dalvin Cook. The good thing about it is Akeem Hicks should be able to start this game and play the whole game. So that's going to make a tremendous difference because they got something personal going on there, which that's kind of like throwback Bears. I like that. Also, from an offensive standpoint, the Bears need to focus on the run. The run pass option does not work if you can't run the ball. So everything else that Trubisky has been able to do, the rollout, some of the other things are based on them being able to run the ball. So they need to do two things: stop the run and focus on the run on offense. Let's go.
Okay. Hey, Jay, you're up.
Well, just like I said last game, I don't really worry about Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook, kryptonite is the Bears. He gained 96 yards in that last game, but prior to that, he was, the Bears hold him in check. And again, we know Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins will serve it up if you get that pressure on him. Last week, the Bears had 7 sacks. Last week, Minnesota gave up 6 sacks. I can't recall who they was playing. But if we can contain the run and make Kirk Cousins try to beat us in the air, which, as Dante said, we do got to corral Justin Jefferson because he's a beast. He's over 1,000 yards right now as a rookie. We don't know what the status is. And they got Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen is actually the Bears killer. But I think if we can, control the clock, stop the run, and force Kirk Cousins to pass the ball, we'll be in good shape.
Okay. Hey, Jay, we're getting a little static in your mic a little bit. Hey, Mike, You're up.
Well, I had to go back. In the past couple of weeks, the Bears have reminded me of this movie with Taye Diggs and Angela Bassett. Stella is getting her groove back. And while Stella is getting her groove back, the past couple of weeks, I have refused to wear this. So this week, it's Bears football. This is going to be an ugly game. It's going to come down to the run. Who can stop the run? And the Vikings kicker probably got fired because he missed 3 field goals last week and an extra point against the Buccaneers. So we are going to have fun this week. Run the ball, run defense, stop Dalvin Cook. Akeem Hicks gets nasty, and that's what we need to do. And I'm done.
All right.
That's it.
Mike.
Stella getting her groove back.
Dude, you just said
The man had to turn your hat around. Okay.
And you got to pop it.
Yeah.
You got to pop it.
Gotta pop it. I think what the Bears need to do in this game is they got to at least get back to playing good defense. I know they played great defense last week, but it's kind of hard to measure last week because they was playing with guys that are probably working at a grocery store this week. That's kind of one of those one-off. But the Bears got to play great defense. Also, and stop the run. Offensively, the Bears need to play a solid offensive game. They need to get that run-pass ratio more even. Don't put too much on Mitch. You had 2 good games, and from there, I think that should make a good recipe for the Bears to win this game.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna help Tammy out a little bit. I'm gonna go on her Bill Lazor thingy. It was interesting. I saw this article this week about Mitch Trubisky, how they said that he had input as far as like some of the play calling is concerned, which is a good thing because now you have a guy, an offensive coordinator, that's actually allowing him to ask him, say, hey, what plays do you feel comfortable with running? And let's do it. And a lot of times that cohesion with the offensive coordinator, giving him that type of freedom to allow him to assert himself in that regard, it goes a long way. So we'll see what happens. I did that for the caramel cake, Tammy.
Hey. One caramel cake at a time, man. One caramel cake at a time.
One ball.
Hey, let's run this. Let's run this commercial right quick.
Love don't mean a thing. A little something for the steppers. The new upcoming release by Tammy Harris coming to you this Christmas.
Love don't mean a thing if I don't have you.
You know, I changed that to caramel cake last week.
Man, I knew you did.
without caramel cake.
Hey, Bernard, how's my mic now?
I'm gonna behave.
You sound good, Jay.
Good, Jay.
Okay.
Hey, let's go down to the bragging rights. Bragging rights we have right here. We have Tammy is 5-8. Jay is 5-8. I'm 6-7. Guy's 5-8. Plank is 7-6, and Donte is 0-2.
Come on, get off the hook, Donte. Get off the schneid, man. Donte.
The time I don't choose the Bears, I lose. The time I don't choose the Bears, I lose.
Hey, I'm just glad I get free picks. That quarter cost me last week, Plank.
Ooh.
Hey, Donte, do you got your injury report tonight?
Oh yeah.
Hold on 1 minute. Plank is gonna bring it to the screen.
All right, let me share it.
Okay.
Let me know when you can see it.
Okay, I see it. Okay, there we go. What you got, Donte?
Go.
Okay, the cornerback for the Bears, Buster Screen, is out for a second consecutive game with a concussion. Khalil Mack has a new shoulder injury. He was supposed to practice yesterday, but he didn't. So he is to be decided. He has game time decision. And there's other safety, Deion Bush, has a foot injury. That is also a game time decision. Now, the Vikings are missing some key players as well. They're missing their best, arguably their best defensive player, Eric Kendricks. He has a calf injury. He'll be out. And then one of the top tight ends in the league, in my opinion, Kyle Rudolph, has a foot injury. He's out for his second straight game as well.
That's
and
good.
The defensive end, Jordan Brailford, has a knee injury. He is also a game time decision. So that's your key injury reports.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Donte.
Man, that's some good information. You always need to know what the injuries are before you make your predictions.
And your bets.
Yeah. Hey, let me share a little stats before we make our predictions tonight. Okay, the Vikings offense is ranked 7th. The Bears offense is ranked 28th. So they done moved up.
They done moved up a couple of spots.
Yeah, they moved up a couple of notches. Yeah, they was
they had nowhere else to go.
Right.
I know that's right. Nowhere but
At
up.
one point they was 31st, so the only body they could have been lower than was the Jets. But the Jets are trying to be bad. And the Vikings offense is pretty balanced because the quarterback stinks. The Vikings they pass. The average passing yards is about 238 yards a game. The average rushing yards is about 146 yards a game. They average about 25.6 points per game. The Bears offense is not as balanced. The Bears offense average passing yards per game is 226. The rushing yards finally came up from around 65 yards a game to 93 yards a game. The Bears are averaging 21.6 points a game. The Vikings defense is ranked 22nd, giving up a ton of points. They're giving up 27.3 points a game. And also, I believe it was Jay or Guy mentioned the field goal kicker missed about 3 or 4 field goals in the last game. The Bears defense from last week, it actually climbed a little bit. It went back to 13. I believe it was 14 the week before. Okay. Now we're down to the moment of truth.
So let me make sure we going at this right. So for the first time this year, Bernard's going to go first with the prediction.
Yeah.
Oh, he been holding out.
He been holding out the whole year. The whole year.
I've been holding out the whole year. Okay, hold on. Let me write my score down. I hadn't even wrote it down.
Oh, no.
Oh, I hadn't even wrote it down.
He knew he was going last, didn't he?
Yeah, I knew I was going long. I have no problem going first. I'm going to go Bears 19.
What?
Bears 19.
Wait.
Vikings 16.
Oh!
Yep.
Hey, Bernard, that's coming off your 6-10 prediction, right?
Yep. But I had them losing last week, so I'm gonna stick with the games. I'm gonna stay with the games that I thought they was gonna win, and the games I thought they was gonna lose.
Okay.
So they got a few games that they snuck up on me.
Okay.
Who's up next?
I'll go next.
Okay,
Just because.
Okay.
I'm picking the Bears. Don't be surprised.
Okay.
I'm picking the Bears. 21-10. 21-10. I actually think the Bears they're gonna pin their ears back, and they're gonna get after Kirk Cousins this week. So without no attrition, I just think I think they're gonna try to make a statement, because I'm actually looking at the Bears like, if y'all want to impress me, win the next 3 games, and with Trubisky at quarterback, this renewed Trubisky at quarterback against these next couple of bad defenses, I think they might be able to pull this off. So I'm gonna go 21-10. 21-10. Bears.
Okay, 21-10 the Bears. Who's up next?
I'll go.
Okay, Tammy.
Go. Ladies first.
Of course, I'm going with the Bears, because 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna go with the Bears. But I think it's gonna be 24-13, and I think the offense is gonna show up, and I think the defense is back to prove that they are as good as we know they can be.
Okay. So we got you. Who's up next? Is between Plank and Donte. Oh, and Guy, right? Got 3. You got you.
The defense, right. Go ahead. Oh, okay. Well,
no, go ahead. You good.
27-17 Bears, and here's why. They only got 14 points last week against Tampa Bay defense, and you know what we did with them. Then we only gave up 19. Was it 19? We lost, was it 19-60, 19-13 or something like that?
19-13.
27-17. Let Cook get his 100 yards receiving, man. We just go ahead and bust him out and do our thing. Let him go ahead and feel like he accomplished something. He a rookie. He needed, let him do that. And we just knocked Kirk Cousins out the game. So okay. 27-17.
27-17. Okay. Hey, Donte, what you got?
I'm gonna take the Bears on this one. 27-20. Because I still think the Vikings are top 10 offense for a reason, outside of Kyle Rudolph being injured. But I think they're gonna find a way to put points. But I think the Bears are gonna come out with the win.
Okay. And EJ done stepped away from the screen. Let me move it for a minute. Hey, Plank, what you got?
Okay, I remember last time they played the Vikings. You had a rookie wide receiver out there that was practicing touchdown dances, talking about how he was going to score against the Bears. Then you had Cousins that really, was demonstrative when they went ahead. So I think it's time for the Bears to give them their comeuppance. I see that. I'm a little afraid about this because we all agreeing that doesn't happen very often. I see that going Bears 28, Vikings 19.
Bears 28, Vikings 19. And as tradition, we always put our guests on the spot with the final pick.
Did Mike go yet?
Mike didn't go. Oh, I'm sorry, Mike. What you got, Mike?
All right. Well, this is gonna be real easy because my boy Buster's not playing. He's good to give up a touchdown here and there and everywhere. I have the Bears winning this week. I'm not pulling out any quarters, anything. The Bears are going to win 27-21. You heard it here first, people. Go get your parlay tickets.
Okay. So, hey, we got our guests on before we EJ, and we always put the guests on the spot to do the final prediction. Hey, EJ, what is your prediction tonight for the game? I know you can't pick the games up where you at, but what's your prediction?
Yeah. So my prediction is the Bears are going to win 24-17.
All right.
24-17. Yeah. Man, that's nice. It's nice.
Like I said, it is kind of scary. Everybody picked the Bears. That's kind of scary.
Right. I think the last time we did that was Tampa Bay, and all us picked Tampa.
They won.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
That's kind of scary.
I didn't pick Tampa Bay. I picked
Hey,
the
I'm
Bears.
excited about our guest tonight, EJ Bassette. EJ has always been a role model, even as a young man, and even in high school. I mean, he had graduated by the time I got to Lumberlone the semester before. But EJ was so legendary that I actually thought he was still enrolled in school there. You heard his name. Some people, their reputation, it was a good reputation. Their reputation exceeds them to a level where they always are present all the time, And I was turning past something the other day, and it kind of pricked my attention. I said, man, I'm gonna get in touch with EJ. So before I finish the introduction, I want to show something. Man, EJ, that was nice.
That's good business, man. That's good business.
We're gonna bring that video back up later on.
Good business.
When we get to that point, but I just wanted to show that I saw that the other day, and I said, man, EJ always got something going, man. And I said, man, that's beautiful to see a black family, celebrating each other, really celebrating each other.
Absolutely.
And so I wanted to do this interview because like everybody who's been on here, they're more than just a former football player. They're great humanitarians, great people. So EJ, for the football one-on-one segment, put a little stuff up here about EJ. EJ is a businessman. EJ is an author. EJ is a motivational speaker. And I can remember several years ago, probably over a decade or so ago, I saw this book entitled Silent Rage. And I saw EJ on the cover. I said, man, that guy there, man.
I just ordered it today.
I
just ordered it today.
You just ordered it today? Look at that,
I just
EJ.
ordered it today.
It's a good book, too.
I just ordered it today.
So our first question for the night is, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you play high school football at? Where did you play college football? And what actually made you decide to play football?
All right. Yeah, I went to Lynn Bloom, so
I couldn't help it, man. I'm sorry.
The story actually started in the low end. I'm from out of Wales, and I'm a true and blue 39er. And so I grew up around guys like Roy Parker, who played for Wendell Phillips, Mitchell Brookins, who played for Wendell Phillips, who's a good friend of mine, who passed away. And so I grew up around these legendary guys who Wendell Phillips at the time was one of the top schools in the city. They would go to the city championships and play against the Catholic leagues back in the mid 70s. So my brother broke out. My older brother, he's 4 years older than me, and he went to Lemblum. And so when he was at Lemblum, he would talk about everything that was positive about Lemblum and how Lemblum was such an elite school. So that prompted me to take the test to go there. And all of my guys was over at Wendell Phillips, and they wanted me to come there because we always talked about playing football together. But I decided to go to Lemblum because my older brother went there. And I said I wanted to turn Lemblum into what Wendell Phillips was, which was a powerhouse. And the year that I got on varsity at Lemblum, we went to the Red Division, which was the top division. So it was good to play against my all my buddies in high school. and then from there, I had a chance to. I would bug the coach because we were just talking about athletes. When you're in the city, sometimes it's hard to get the recognition that you would get if you were at a school where, the public league, we had how many schools in the public league? So I had several offers, but I didn't have an offer that was in state. And my dad, I lived with my father back when I was coming up, and he asked me to stay in the state of Illinois if I could. And so one day a coach from Western Illinois University came up to Lindblom just out of the blue. And it was a white coach, defensive back coach. And he just decided to come up to Lindblom because he heard about Lindblom was a good academic school. And they had never recruited from the inner city of Chicago. So he said if he wanted an athlete, he wanted an athlete that could maintain their grades. And
Academics.
So he came up and Coach Meddy told him, he said, I got this kid who he bugs me every day about playing in college. And he said, this would be the perfect player for you. So they didn't offer me a scholarship, but they offered me a preferred walk-on. And so I went there and I started 3.5 years at Western. So,
Okay.
So yeah.
Hey, EJ, let me go back a little bit. So at Lindblom, man, EJ was multi-talented as far as on the football field. EJ was a running back. He was a receiver, Jay. And Plank, he was a defensive back. So he covered all three of them. He covered all three. Hey, EJ, I want to ask you something before we get into some of the things that happened in college. I wanted to go back to Lindblom, and I want you to briefly speak on being one of the founding members of the family. And how did y'all come about that? As brief as you can, but for those who don't know about the family.
Yeah, well, the family started back in 1977. We were in the auto shop class with Mr. Davis was our teacher at the time, and he was the new teacher there. And so it started because I was going home with one of the guys, Charles Adams, and he was on the football team, and he was a player. And he said, so we were riding the bus together, and we got off at 63rd in Ashland. And I would catch the elevator train, as you remember, and that train would take me down to 35th Street.
Green Line.
Exactly. I would catch and Charles would stay on normally, and he would go down to Halsted. We got off at Halsted. Was that Halsted? No, he would go down to Halsted. I was on Ashland. So he got off before I could get on the train, and he said, man, it's about 8 guys that's following me. One guy said he saw my watch. And before he could turn, he didn't say anything else. I said, I got your back. I didn't even look around. And before I knew it, we were surrounded by 8 guys, man. We started fighting these guys. And the next day, when we got back to school and we went to the auto shop, this guy, Gary Kennedy, Deke, we call him Deke. We were telling Deke what was going on. And Deke started crying in the class, man. And he said, you know what? He said, we'll never go home alone again. And he said, if one of us go, we'll all go. So we started taking the bus together, and we started doing everything together. And then around that time, The Godfather was out. And we started saying, man, we just a family, man. We just a family. So we started running around the school saying, we just one family. And then that was the start of it, us 3 just coming up with that term and that idea. If one fight, we all fight. And then we took it to other parts of our lives, and we became brothers for life.
Okay, hey, that's a great story, because the family was very influential. For Lindblom was known for its clubs, and the family. There's a lot of members of the family that's my fraternity, Omega Psi Phi. A lot of brothers are in there, and I see us down there. Hey, did Steve Turner, Burner the Turner play with you?
No.
Turner.
Okay, he must have missed you. Okay. Hey, anybody got any questions for EJ before we I keep following this format?
I do.
Okay,
Yes,
got it.
EJ, my man, I appreciate everything you do, man. I mean, it's wonderful to get some brothers from, of course, Lindblom, but in the public entities where there's like the scorn on the public school system, when we know it's a beautiful set of circumstances for us. A lot of us came from it. We were very well fed educationally. A very good set of circumstances. But with your background playing football, coming from Ida B. Wells, just living in the hood, growing up in the hood, where you are now, as a motivational speaker, do you find it being something that's actually a very good tool as far as being able to reach these kids, like from where you are, to be able to just say, hey, you talking about something. A lot of people talk about, oh, I know what you're talking about, but they come up in these real nice picket fences homes where you came from the Jacks. Is it easier for you to reach these kids being from where you are and what you've accomplished?
Yeah, I think so. I think part of what I wanted to share, because part of my story is I had two best friends. One was Deke, and Deke was actually murdered down at Western Illinois. And then my other best friend, Ray was murdered 6 years after Deke. And we were all friends. And Ray went to Wendell Phillips, and he was my best friend from 4 years old. And so it's just real life. It's true stories that you're able to reach kids with, and everybody, but you put them in situations where sometimes you can make them laugh, you can make them cry, you can make them think. And that's what I try to do. So within my life is everything. It's not just the projects, but Lindblom was a beacon for hope for us. I mean, Lindblom was the school, and it was the place to be. I had a gentleman tell me about a year ago, and he grew up with me down in the neighborhood. And he said, man, back when you went to Lindblom, he said, we talked about you because we thought you were better than us. He said, now that my granddaughter goes to Lindblom, I see that you were before your time. He said, you were just always thinking ahead of us. He said, it took my grandbaby to realize that, man, this is what EJ was doing. He was getting a better education so he could move on with his life. And so things like that is what I try to share with young people.
Okay. Hey, that's a great. Hey, EJ, I wanted to go backwards into your story about being at Western. And I find it kind of odd that your playing size, of course, you're 6'2". You ran a 4.3.
Right.
185 pounds. Now in the 1980s,
yeah,
that was very, very big for a defensive back or receiver in the NFL. And for a school like Western to get a player that stature, and I know your nickname is Edge, and like I say, your reputation exceeded you. I mean, what was really behind them not giving you a scholarship, as a preferred walk-on? I mean, what's the story on that?
Well, I think it's what we're dealing with right now in 2020 when we say, why didn't this guy get promoted? Why is this person in the situation they're in? I was talking to my wife earlier today because she had some books coming in. Her third book is coming in from China that she's published. And I was just reminding her because the books didn't deliver today. I said, baby, this is just one of the things that life offers. I said, it's not like the books are lost. They're just detained for a minute. So we'll celebrate on Monday when they come. But that's what life is. It's about us making our own standard. What I did was I took a situation where I could have went to another school. And when I was given the scholarship to the other school, the one thing that they said to me was they put one of another ball player on the phone, and they said, here, we're going to do all your homework for you. We're going to do everything for you. And the ball player who went to Lindblom with me, he was an older student. He said, man, everybody here is going to take care of you, EJ. He said, and it was mainly an all-white school. And they put the cheerleaders on the phone, and the cheerleaders started telling me how they would take care of me, no worries about homework. And I remember telling my dad, I said, I don't want to go there because I'm not a dummy and I don't want to act like a dummy. So I'd rather take a chance somewhere where somebody's giving me an opportunity than a place where somebody's going to do everything for me. And so that was the difference. It was my choice that Western, they gave me an opportunity. And once I got in the door, like I said, I started for 3.5 years. There was no stopping me once I got there.
Okay. Hey, EJ. Hey, I'd like to thank, Brother Tyler, thank you for the compliment down there on enjoying the show. I'd like to let everybody know, if this is their first time watching, this is a segment that we have on the Friday shows called Football 101, where we have interviews with former football players, but they don't talk about football, they talk about life. But EJ, I had a question also I wanted to ask you. When I got to Western my freshman year, legend has it that Kaepernick, that wasn't Kaepernick, that was EJ. Kaepernick, EJ, the use before your time, brother, walked off the field during a football game. And there was some racial undertones about it. But I can remember on campus how proud we felt hearing that story, because of all us as students, we felt racism on Western campus. And I'm sure Donte experienced it now.
Still to this day. Still to this day.
But and to hear, and we always felt the athletes didn't feel our pain. You know, like they lived in a different bubble than us. But EJ, I wanted to know, like, what is the real story? What exactly happened about you walking off the field?
All right. Well, I was the top athlete. They had chosen 5 players on our team that was going to go professional, and out of the 5, I was the most likely to go my senior year. And so I told the other ball players, I said, I have everything. I have everything that you guys want, but I'm willing to sacrifice that for the betterment of us, because there were ball players that wasn't getting on the field and that was not getting the opportunity to play. Back then in the early 80s, what they would do is if you had a parent that was on a booster club, or you had a parent who was highly influential, then you could play over a player that had talent. So in my case, I got to play because corners, you just couldn't put somebody out there to play corner who didn't have the speed or the agility. But other positions, they could hide other players who they put on the team who was just taking a spot, was basically taking a spot. So during one game, one of the players came to me, one of the good friends of mine, and he was our starting nose guard. But in this particular game, they had taken him out and put another player in, a white player in. So during that game, I told the guys, I said, man, this is my last game, because I realized that the secretary to our football team, she pulled me to the side, and she said when the scouts were coming up to recruit us for pro ball, she said, EJ, they're not bringing your name up. And so at that point, I decided, you know what? It's time to move on, graduate, get out of college, and go to the next level. And football was going to be a thing of the past. So that was one of the things that I decided to do. So in the middle of the game, I walked up to my coach and I said, I'm done. And he said, well, what are you talking about? And I said, I'm done. And I just walked in the locker room and I said a prayer and took my equipment off. I went and sat in the stands. All my partners, they're looking at the game. They're like, man, they're like, what are you doing, man? And I didn't say anything. I just went home and I said a prayer and I cried. And then I picked up a book and I said, I got a test on Monday. I'm moving on to the next phase, And from there, I've married my college sweetheart. We've been together for 37 years. We have 3 beautiful kids. And I said I would make more money as a businessman than I would make as a football player.
Okay. Hey, man, great story.
I had something I wanted to say as well.
And thanks for sharing this with us. Hey, did anybody have any questions for EJ? Hey, Plank.
That's not a question. I just wanted to thank him for who he is and who he has been. One of the things that I've always seen about him and following him at Lindblom and then following him at Western was that he's been a man of high character and high integrity. There's something that was regal about him that seemed like he knew things that other people didn't know. So the thing that I wanted to impress upon him, was thanking him for his role in my life, even though he didn't realize that he was a role model to me. You never know who's watching you. So I remember, seeing him as a 13-year-old, 4'11", 85-pound kid and wanting to be exactly who you were. So, a lot of things that I've accomplished in my life were a foundation that you actually set forth. So I just want to thank you for that.
Yes. And thank you. It's nice to hear. And I want to thank all the brothers that came before me that I'm in the process of, and I know you guys saw one of the tapes. I did 33 on 33 with the brother who came before me and made me want to work. And I'm going to do a piece on the guy, Mitchell Brookins, who was one of the top 10 fastest men in the world. Wendell Phillips and Sonda Nix and those guys. Sonda Nix actually went to the Olympics. And I'm just going to do things on brothers that move me and help me, as well as elevating my family on the video you guys saw. We're working together, the five of us, all five professionals, but we took our talents and combined them, and we formed a company. And so we can do a complete makeover for somebody, from the way they dress to physical health and wellness. We can do everything for that particular person and help them with their life. So we've dedicated our lives to, say, my wife and myself, and she's a beautiful sister. When you have just to give you an idea, when we moved here to Atlanta we moved here exactly a year ago. And then I was back in corporate, and she told me when we got here, she said, don't even look for a position when we go to Atlanta. She said, I just want you to run the businesses, and I'll hold things down until we get everything set and together. So when you have that on your side, man, you can't fail.
Right.
Absolutely.
Hey, EJ, since you brought that up, we showed a video earlier. Plank, can you put that video up in the stream? Can you tell us, EJ, what's going on, man? I seen you there dropping it, man. Like, man,
he was really dropping it like it's hot too. We dropped it like it's teeth in a lukewarm because our knees are bad. You're in some great shape, brother.
No, all of that, that's my creative. That Bassette Solutions is simply five of us. If you see it when it's going, you'll see everybody has a profession. My son's an engineer. He's on the left. My daughter next to him with the baby, my little grandbaby, she's a nurse practitioner. My wife is a project manager, and she also writes books. My daughter next to her is fashion design. So she went to the university, Columbia University. So she owns her own fashion business. And then I did corporate sales and, of course, author and speaker. So we took all of our careers as well as our passions, and we put them together. So we have 7 different businesses.
Wow. Okay. Hey, Plank, can you start that video again, Plank?
That's a beautiful story. That is a beautiful story.
You see, he's an engineer, nurse practitioner, private manager and speaker, for sales, fashion design. You see where it says business,
legacy.
So what
Hey,
we'll
That's beautiful.
That's
what we'll
awesome,
be doing,
man.
yeah, what we'll be doing
That's
is
awesome.
just like what you guys are doing. We'll be having insight. We'll be interviewing. We'll have people. We'll be talking about all of those different fields, and we're going to talk about how we're building the legacy and how the first million is the hardest. We got that in the bank, and we're moving on from there and doing other things. We just want to share everything. We want to share everything we know with our people.
Okay. Hey, Edith, do you have a copy of your book Silent Rage with you?
Silent Cry.
Silent Cry. I always want to call it Silent Rage. It's Silent Cry.
Yeah.
That's right.
The Silent Cry, Ray, Deke, and me. And Ray was my best friend from Wendell Phillips from 4 years old. Deke was my best friend from Limbo. And it's about us three growing up. So it's kind of like Boys from the Hood. It's Cooley High. And I'm doing you'll see in about 2 weeks, right after the holiday, I'll have something out on Facebook, but it's a 15-minute speaking engagement about this book. And it's about the whole topic, because the one thing that most people don't realize was that Deke, that went to Lindblom and went to Western, he was murdered by another Lindblom student.
Wow.
So that's the
college
story. In college, down at Western Illinois.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, so that's the story. It hadn't been a murder in that town in 88 years. And what I'm saying is that we went down there and we took not only the luggage, but we took our baggage from the inner city to that campus. So I teach that message to a lot of college students about carrying that baggage with us wherever we go. And then we carry it into our adulthood. So a lot of us right now are carrying baggage with us right now.
Right. That's a great point, EJ. Hey, one of the stories in that book that I remember you talked about was you were in college, and I believe you were home for break or something, and a guy that you grew up with pulled out a gun and robbed you. Right. And maybe a few days later, he asked you for a ride. And a lot of us I grew up in Inglewood, and that was not uncommon that somebody could do something to you one day, and 2 or 3 days later, they act like it never happened.
It never happened.
Yeah, that was just a product of the hood. I got a trivia question for you. How many times do you think I was in
hold on,
a gun or a knife pulled on me in my life?
Ooh.
Can we do an over under?
And you know the thing about that, EJ. The thing about that, EJ, guess what? I still live in the hood. I still live in Inglewood.
Yeah.
I'm still in Inglewood. My oldest daughter graduated from Lindblom 5 years ago. She's now completed her college education, and I got a senior that's at Lindblom right now that's completing her high school with numerous college college acceptances right now. My oldest daughter got the Posse scholarship and she went full ride academically and graduated college. So one thing I can say, my situation is kind of like yours. I grew up in the projects, and I wound up going to Western, and I wound up coming back to Inglewood. And I'm trust me, I am ready to go from Inglewood, but we got some things that we need to take care of before we do that. Right. But the thing about it is, where you come from doesn't predict your outcome.
Exactly.
Which is why I tell these young kids all the time. I do tutoring or mentoring for Big Brothers Big Sisters of America, and I tell these kids that it's not your product. You're not a product of your environment.
Right.
You're not a product of your environment, and you can do whatever it is that you want to do. And I just want, I feel like out of everything, I'm on here with all these Lil Bloom people. I feel like I went to Lil Bloom just because my kids have been there, but I've seen what Lil Bloom has done to kids, especially recently with this new academic center that they got and everything. Lil Bloom is the best kept secret in the hood, and that's what I tell people all the time. Right. I tell people that all the time, man. So kudos to you. Kudos to you. I sent you a follow on Facebook. I'm actually looking forward to reading your book and all of that because, you know, I'm a Sigma. You know, I know that I'm a Sigma from Western, know the history about Deke and all those things. So, you know, it's just one of those things where it's good to see you. I'm a family person, and I love to see your family doing that. It's amazing. It's amazing, and I love it. I love it, bro. So peace out. Peace to you, bro.
You got to give me that over under though, guys.
Oh yeah, hey EJ, I'm gonna say at least 8 to 10 times.
Okay.
I'm gonna say higher. I'm gonna put it up at 18 times.
Okay. I'll go a little higher. I'll say 20.
I'll say 10. I'll say 10 because I've been in the hood, and unfortunately, I haven't experienced anything, and I've been here back in the hood for the last 15 years. So I'm gonna guesstimate 10.
Okay. Anybody else?
What'd you say, Tammy?
I just said wow, but I'll say.
I just say wow.
I'll say 10 too, but I have a question, but I probably have to ask it after because we're about to end.
Okay.
Okay, it was 16.
16. Okay.
Hey, Tammy, shoot your question so before we wrap up.
Well, it was really because I was doing research after you sent his information, and so I saw he was a business person, a salesman, entrepreneur, motivational speaker. I just kind of wondered what he thought about the fact that more and more Black people are having the desire to be entrepreneurs versus working for other people. Whereas, you know, when we were growing up, we were really conditioned to go to work, get a good job, and, you know, do what you got to do. But now more of us are willing to step out there and do our own thing and take our own chances, create our own opportunities. Just wonder what you thought about that.
Yeah, that's excellent. I mean, I've been pushing that since I left corporate America at 33 years old and didn't look back. And I was the top salesman for one of the top companies in the world, pharmaceutical companies. And at the same time, my best friend was being murdered back in Ida B. Wells. And I knew when I went to my manager and said I had to go to the funeral, he told me I was making it up because he said, there's no way you could have this many funerals. This is your third or fourth funeral this year. And I had to, you know, it's two worlds. Yeah. I knew in his world that I was never going to be what I could be if we narrated our own story. So I had to tell our story. And the only way you can do that is to have the time to do it and the ambition to do it. And by being in business for yourself, you're telling your own story. My granddaughter, when she sees a book, she says, that's my papa. Because every book she sees, she thinks it's me. Or when she sees somebody speaking, like she saw, I had on YouTube Malcolm X and Minister Farrakhan one day speaking. And she said, that's papa. Because it sounds like her granddad. Because she grew up in that world where she thinks we do everything. She's like, oh, that's Gigi on the book, which is her grandmother. That's TT, which is her auntie. When she sees all these little commercials and shows, she just assumes that that's what we do. And that's what the next generation has to be set up for that success. We can't do that working for somebody else because when we're working for them, we're showing their success. Okay. So our own success. This is my book right here, Practice What You Preach.
Yeah, man.
The 10 keys for taking success for your own, taking responsibility for your own success. So that's basic right there. It's not just doing it, but it's showing you the keys to do it. Like the point-by-point book that says from step 1 to step 10, this is what you need to do in your life. Okay. So I wrote that one because the first book is what I know. The first book is who I am. The second book is what I know. Okay. Hey, EJ, we'd like to thank you for coming on. I definitely would like to have you come back again. Yes, appreciate it, bro.
And we'd like to conclude Bears Banter. I'd like to thank everybody that watching us on YouTube, Facebook. And if you're watching us on YouTube, hit that red button at the bottom and subscribe to the broadcast. Thank you. Peace.